Okay, welcome back. We're on section 2 now. Simple drawing exercises. Okay, how we get started with this whole thing. Let's take a look here. Setting up paper on a drawing board. Okay, with reference to the same copyright. Drawing paper must be set up on a drawing board using a T-square. It must be. Once in position, the paper is clipped to the board with board clips or even masking tape. Well, that's got to be careful with masking tape. Use drafting tape instead. Okay, so number 1, the T-square must be placed up against the edge of the drawing board. There must be no gaps. No gaps. See down here? No gaps. Otherwise, the paper will not be set up correctly, and drawing accurate horizontal and vertical lines will be impossible. Okay, so no gaps. The paper is then allowed to rest on a T-square. Check that the paper rests properly on a T-square and that there are no gaps between the T-square and the paper or the T-square and the side of the drafting board. See? No gaps and no gaps. The clips can then be positioned holding the paper securely to the board. Number 3. Oops. A 2H pencil can then be used to draw faint horizontal lines across the page. Try to keep the lines to the same size by measuring them with a ruler. Each time you draw a line, check that the T-square is pressed completely against the edge of the board. There should be no gaps. Okay? So what are we talking about here? No gaps. Okay? Visually, here you can see how horizontal lines are drawn. No gaps. Okay? And now, vertical lines. Okay? To draw vertical lines, a T-square and set square, or triangles, are used together. Now make sure you do it this way. I'm telling you, I'll explain the algebra to this in class. Be careful to check that there are no gaps between a T-square and the board and the T-square and the set squares. Do not draw vertical lines with a set square only, as they will not be accurate. Says here, great care should also be taken to ensure that the paper does not move. This can happen if a hand or arm rubs too strongly against the paper. Check that the paper has not moved by placing the T-square at the bottom edge of the paper. Then check that the paper rests level against the T-square and that the paper is not at an angle. Ensure that the T-square is also firmly against the edge of the board. And that takes us through exercise 1 of simple drawings.